Oh, gonna have to sit down a bit. How's it going, everyone? What's the crack? Happy New Year, I guess. Happy New Year, everyone. Seems a bit tall now, or a bit small now. But anyway, here we are. I'm on camera. Need a sip of coffee. So today's Monday, the 5th of Jan. It's really like the first working day for a lot of people in the year, and I thought I would start vlogging more often, like recording these videos. You know, got myself a camera, got myself a load of audio equipment last year. Been doing bits and pieces, and yeah, we're really going to push forward with the content. So I wanted to make this video just to tell you all a bit more about me, a bit more about what I do and why I do it, and stuff like that. So I might re-record this with a proper microphone. I do have this boy, which is quite good. I do have wee handheld boys. Don't like them boys, wee microphones, and they're pretty good. But I thought I would just record this as a test run. So you know, if you don't know me, my name's David Shaw. I run a business here in Northern Ireland, or the north of Ireland, or just Ireland, if you want to call it that. And the business is called Invisible Building, and I've been running that business for pretty much over 10 years. We've been a limited company for over 3 years, but I graduated in 2011, and as soon as I graduated, there wasn't really a market for the level of designer that I wanted to be. And that might seem a bit sort of up your own arse or whatever, but I went in, and there was a lot of people doing graphic design. Nothing against graphic designers, but there's a lot of people doing graphic design. And then there was web developers who were working on logging into websites with FTP and editing code in PHP, and you know that wasn't me. I was a hand coded HTML, CSS, bit of JavaScript web wizard guy that wanted to hand code the web and saw the indie web revolution, and you know yeah, I was a bit pretentious maybe. I went to web conferences like the Build conference. I went to Refresh Belfast. I went to networking events. I went to Twitter meetups, and there wasn't the tech scene in Belfast was bubbling, and it was really exciting, but in the actual industry it was very sort of, don't know how to describe it. It wasn't the level that it's at now. So that's one thing to shout out to the Northern Irish government. A lot of people give off about the big tech companies coming in, but the tech companies have come in. They've created loads of jobs, and not only have they created jobs, but they have created an ecosystem of product designers, product developers, product owners. UX in itself is a huge industry. And then the development ecosystem, back end developers, front end developers, I'm trying to think, automation engineers, cyber, and then when you go back to product, it's agile for agile, team leaders and blah 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 blah. So and that's just a handful of job titles that are coming out of my head. There's a huge ecosystem created now. And whenever I came out of uni, that didn't exist. It was you go work as a web designer, and maybe you're doing everything. You're doing a bit of graphic design, you're doing a bit of jack of all trades sort of stuff. So that's what I did. I fumbled into freelancing, doing those jobs where I was graphic designer here. I was using Dreamweaver. I was building emails and in tables. I was doing lots of different things, and I did that for a few years. And that's where I started trading as Invisible Building. So I was a sole trader trading as Invisible Building, and that name just came to me, and that's the name I was trading under. It really started, and so just to talk a bit more about that, I was doing that for a good few years, freelancing primarily for other design agencies. So basically, I was, say someone was going on maternity leave, for example, I would maybe get a lot of work. Or if an agency maybe got a couple of projects in that they maybe weren't expecting and needed someone in fast to work on it, they hired me, and I did that work for a couple of months. I worked on big projects like a couple of the government websites. I worked on a lot of big e-commerce websites. I've worked on, you know, big jobs that agencies were getting paid millions, maybe not millions, thousands of pounds, and then they were hiring me by the hour to work on it as a jack of all trades web digital builder person. I did that, and then I sort of was like building up my own projects in the background, getting my own clients and doing bits and pieces, and I was leaning into sort of non-profity work, working on tech for good projects. That's what I would call it now, and I ended up, as I was like sort of pushing higher and higher and higher, working on these cooler projects. I got a call from a friend about working for Chain Reaction Cycles as a freelancer. I went in and I did a couple of weeks as a freelancer, and I ended up doing 6 months, and then I ended up doing 3.5 years as a full time employee. So I basically 6 months in, I was like, sat down, maybe we should turn this into a job. I love it. I've told the CRC story before. I'm not going to go into it again. I might go into it again in the future. But yeah, Chain Reaction Cycle is one of the best companies to ever come out of Northern Ireland. Unfortunately now pretty much defunct. But if you look at the talent that's come out of that company, it's unbelievable. The people and even the higher level management from the Northern Irish side are unbelievable. So really, really, really cool company, and I'm so privileged to have worked for them. But yeah, basically did that a few did that 3.5 years, primarily focusing on email actually, so email development, and like that was like magical time. Like basically, like I had automated the whole thing whenever I started working there, and we had really really class development system in, and then worked with we had other engineers come in who were amazing, and then we had other graphic designers come in, and we had this amazing team, and we were building and doing emails every day, sending out daily emails, boom. And with that as well, we did a lot of in-house stuff. Like me and my manager at the time, Dermot, we worked on a lot of in-house dev tools and stuff like that, and just getting deep into email automation, email tools, and like a language called MGML came out. We were able to use that to build tools, and one of the things we were doing at CRC was sending out in multiple languages. We were automating stuff in different languages and all, and it was class time, magic. But the company was up and down. As I said, it's completely gone now. I decided, like after 3.5 years, I wanted to go back to working for myself. So I decided, didn't have anything really lined up. I just thought I'm going to jump ship and go back out on my own and set up Invisible Building again. So I did that. I just left. Did my 3 months notice, left, and went on to work on Invisible Building again. And it was a great decision. Absolutely zero regrets from leaving CRC. I love my time there, but zero regrets at all. And from there, I started again just working websites. I did a bit of freelancing for a company called Underwater Pistol, and I always had a background in e-commerce from various different projects, whether it be WordPress, whether it be .NET, whether it be more bespoke systems, and Underwater Pistol were an e-commerce agency, and they very much focused on new age e-commerce, where they were looking at Squarespace and they were looking at Shopify, and I was learning Liquid at the time, because Liquid is a language that's used by Jekyll, which is a static site generator, which is for nerdy speak, it's a static site generator that's really good for building lightweight websites and prototyping. And I was actually using Jekyll at the time to prototype email marketing automation. So it was I was really obsessed with Jekyll, and I loved building it. And then I learned that Shopify used Jekyll, and I thought, that's very cool. I have so much experience in Liquid, I have so much experience building tools with Liquid. Shopify use Liquid as an e-commerce templating language. I'm going to focus on Shopify. So I jumped in and started working with Underwater Pistol. I didn't work for them for a huge amount of time, maybe about 6 months, and but it was like over a summer period, and I really enjoyed it. And then after that as well, I was just working, full time on my own projects, and I wasn't really at the time. I didn't really call myself a Shopify specialist. I was just a sort of jack of all trades web designer working on projects, and I I guess sort of the pandemic happened during that time. Just after that, and after the pandemic happened, I sort of decided, well, I was during this period as well, I've always had an interest in startups and the startup scene. Like I was saying, I was going to those Twitter events and stuff like that. Those Twitter events were always very focused on startups, and the tech scene in Belfast always had a good startup scene. And there's a guy called Matt Johnson who I know, and he was co-founder of a place called Raise Ventures. And during just prior to the pandemic, I had saw that they were looking for someone in marketing, and I thought I could do that, and I love startups. So I threw my name in the hat, went through an application process, and we then had a discussion whether to come in full time or to work self-employed. And we decided that I would be a contractor and I would be self-employed. So I worked during the pandemic, self-employed with Raise for a good few years, and primarily we ran like startup events. We brought all of their like networking events that were online, and like pitching events, and pitching just to investors. We brought all of that offline and brought it online, and it was class experience. Really learning experience in working online, doing digital stuff, networking, working with startups, working with founders. Working with prototyping. So I did that. I've gone off on a bit of a tangent, but I did that for like another couple of years. And while I was also like doing my own work, working on my own projects, and sort of 2 years into that, I went on the co-founders program as a founder myself, looking to set up a co-founder. And I wanted to launch a project called Sugar Financial Technology, which was going to be a social app where people could go into coffee shops and leave a tip, and whether that be financial or like a sort of TripAdvisor style thing. And we did quite well. We got through to the final, but we didn't win any money in the end. So that startup then went defunct, and I went back to just focusing on services. And it was after that period that I then decided, let's focus on three things as a company. So I wanted Invisible Building to focus on design, e-commerce, and tech for good. So design was like building websites, doing social media, service design, and thinking about design from a wider, broader perspective, inspired by Walter Gropius. And e-commerce was really Shopify, but it was also WooCommerce. I was building e-commerce websites, and Tech for Good was like a niche that I found myself in doing that charity work, working with non-profits, working with techies and residents, and the Building Change Trust and NI Community Foundation Ireland, the Community Foundation NI, and doing like Bernardo's and Aware, Defeat Depression, sort of all these non-profits, Loose Heads, all these charities. That was like my three sort of niches: design, e-commerce, tech for good. But then fast forward to 2025, I decided, as much I kept those three things as my tagline: design, e-commerce, tech for good. But then I changed it halfway through. I thought design, Shopify, tech for good, because Shopify was where the interest was. Shopify, I didn't really want to build a WooCommerce. I didn't really want to build, any other. I didn't want to build like definitely some e-commerce engines that I get offered, and I decided that it would be design, Shopify, tech for good. I lent into that, and now in 2026, I think I'm dropping. Not that I'm dropping design and tech for good. It's just design and tech for good are You know, they're the backbone of my philosophy in business. They're the backbone of my philosophy as a designer. They're the backbone of my philosophy as a human, design and tech for good. So it's not that I'm dropping them, but as a company, we're making the decision, or I'm making the decision as a solo person in the company, to just focus on Shopify. And the idea is to really, really lean into Shopify, build the best websites we can, generate the most revenue for our customers, and just design really, really awesome stuff. And Invisible Building is going to primarily focus on Shopify in 2026, and that's our main goal, is to get as many Shopify customers as we can, satisfy them, and go full circle. So we have launched so many, I'm not even going to name numbers, but we've launched so many Shopify websites in 2025. And not only that, we are getting customers from America now. We're getting customers from the States, and we're going to announce some cool collaboration projects over the next couple of weeks. And yeah, it's a really, really awesome time to be working. And today, for example, it's 5th of January, and today I got up really early, before 6 a.m. I went to Reformer Pilates at 6:30. I then did 4 hours of deep work. It was more like research and marketing, but a bit of deep work looking at projects on my laptop. And then after that, obviously I had a bowl of porridge in between as well. But after that, I've gone to Belfast. It's snowing outside, by the way. A lot of people wouldn't leave the house, but it's snowing. And I went to Belfast and I trained Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. So from 12:30 to 2. Then I got back up here, got a quick bowl of soup. It was like a protein pea soup, green pea soup. Really, really tasty. And a wee bap to go with it. And with that, I then had a call with one of the American customers that I'm working with now, which was great, at 3 p.m. And then now I'm going to do some more work. I'm obviously recording this video, which is work too, but I'm going to do work between now. It's 20 to 4, so I'm going to be doing 4, 5, maybe 6 o'clock. Then I'll switch off and it'll be done for the evening. So that is the plan for 2026, is to focus hyper on doing this thing, making Invisible Building probably one of the biggest Shopify agencies on the land of Ireland and the United Kingdom and the USA and the capitalist world. So let's do this. Yeah. And thanks very much for listening to this. Bye.